Miss Danny from the Pleasant Hills Public Library, and I am so excited that you're here with me today for another episode of STEAM Creatures. So, before we get started, do you remember what all the letters in STEAM stands for? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we are going to be using all 5 of those subject areas today to learn a little bit more about the animals that live under the sea. So, ocean animals. So can you think of any animals that live in the sea? There are so many. And in fact, a large part of the sea hasn't been explored yet. So they're finding more animals, more creatures, more organisms that live in the ocean. It's pretty cool. So let's take a moment to look at some pictures and short video clips while we learn a little bit more about the ocean and the animals that call that home.
Oceans are areas of salty water that cover over 70% of the Earth's surface. There is only one global ocean, but scientists and geographers have divided them into 5 different regions. From the biggest to the smallest, they are the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Southern, and the Arctic Oceans. The Pacific Ocean, which is the biggest, contains the Great Barrier Reef, which is located off of the Australian coast. It is the largest living structure on Earth, and it can be seen from space. Over 95% of all water on Earth can be found in the oceans. Oceans are both wide and deep. The ocean is divided into different zones based on how far sunlight travels from the surface. Those 5 zones are sunlight, twilight, midnight, abyss, and trench. On average, the ocean is a little over 2 miles deep, but in the Mariana Trench, the ocean has been measured to be 7 miles deep. Scientists estimate that about 1 million species of animals live in the ocean. The majority of them are invertebrates, meaning they don't have a backbone, like jellyfish and shrimp. Did you know that jellyfish have been around for over 650 million years? That makes them older than the dinosaurs. Some of the smallest animals on Earth can be found in the ocean. Zooplankton are so small that you can only see them with a microscope. Big fish swim in the ocean too, such as sharks and manta rays. In fact, the largest animal ever to live on Earth is the blue whale. Not only is it the biggest animal, blue whales are also the loudest. Their call can be as loud as 188 decibels and can be heard for hundreds of miles underwater. The blue whale is an ocean mammal and needs to come to the surface to breathe. Other ocean mammals include dolphins, porpoises, and sea lions. Scientists are constantly learning about new species, and because scientists have only explored less than 5% of the world's oceans, many new ocean species are discovered every year. In fact, in 2020 alone, scientists discovered 4 new marine organisms, including a new species of comb jelly, sea snail, crab, and apolemma, a creature that kind of resembles silly string. It's incredible to think about the creatures that are out there just waiting to be discovered.
And now, friends, I'd like to share a fun picture book with you about an octopus and the various other creatures she sees. This is Octopus Alone, written and illustrated by Dira Shivanasan, and read today with permission of Penguin Random House. So there's quite a lot of creatures in this book. And our big orange octopus. Octopus lay hidden in her cozy cave, enjoying the scene outside. Turtle chased squid, squid chased shrimp, and the puffer was getting nervous with all that chasing going on. Then Octopus saw the seahorses bobbing along outside. One little one peeked in, then another, and another. The seahorses found Octopus fascinating, but she was shy and did not like to be noticed. She tried to shoo them away, but they thought she was playing, so they played too. Oh, I give up, Octopus sighed. Squeezing out of her cave, she crawled into the garden. She changed colors just like that and disappeared. The seahorses swam away, wondering where she'd gone. Can you find her, friends? She's camouflaged. Right there. Sea snakes slithered in and out of holes. Among the swaying anemones, baby dominoes played hide and seek, while clownfish chased butterflies. Tiny fish ate algae from a big fish's scales, leaving them sparkly clean. What's happening over here? Octopus was about to pounce on a juicy lobster when she saw the little seahorses coming her way. She went perfectly still. The lucky lobster slid into a crevice. There she is. When the seahorses weren't disturbing her, they were delightful to watch. They wiggled and twirled, and one even did somersaults. It looked like so much fun. It was hard for Octopus to keep still, but she did, and then the merry seahorses moved on. Octopus crept over to a thicket of stars. Jellyfish drifted past and headed beyond the reef. Where did they go? She gazed at the shimmering shapes, and suddenly she had a funny feeling. See who's watching over here? The seahorses were staring. For how long, she wondered. She inked the water to hide her blushing and took off. She wanted to get away, far from those googly eyes. After a while, she spied something interesting, a box full of delicious crabs. Octopus squeezed herself into the cage, but the crabs began pinching. So she fiddled with the door and it opened. Out tumbled the frantic crabs. Octopus was about to grab a few when she had another funny feeling. A hungry eel was about to strike. Octopus squirted a cloud of ink and swam and swam and swam. When she finally stopped, she was far beyond the reef. Here the water was gloriously empty. No one was watching. There was no one to hide from. Whale song rose faintly from the deep, and Octopus remembered the dancing seahorses. She wiggled, she twirled, she even did a somersault. She was so happy to be alone, and then she felt a rumbling from the water below. Whoosh! A whale surged past, up and out of the water. Octopus nestled into a nook and found herself in a cave much like her own, except this one was away from everyone and everything. The whale crashed back down, leaving a magnificent storm of bubbles. The whale song faded into the distance until all was quiet, and Octopus, exhausted, fell asleep. When Octopus awoke, she went outside. A lone jellyfish drifted by. No one was around to disturb her in this wonderful, quiet place. But after some time, she began thinking about the lively reef with its graceful anemones and slinking sea snakes. Most of all, she wondered what the seahorses were up to. "I'd better go home and find out," she said, hurrying along. When Octopus reached the reef, one little seahorse welcomed her home, and then another and another. Octopus was glad to be back with her friends. So in that story, we got to see lots of different ocean creatures. There was Octopus, of course, the main character, and seahorses, and jellyfish, and eels, and crabs, and even a whale. Pretty cool. And now, friends, it's time for our STEAM experiment. We have STEAM kits available in our lobby while supplies last, with all the supplies you'll need for our fish gill experiment. If you can't get our kit for whatever reason, don't worry. All the supplies for this experiment are things you probably have at home, or you can substitute with things that you have nearby. So let's learn a little bit more about what's in our kit and how to do this experiment. In our STEAM kit, there are 2 plastic cups, a coffee filter, a rubber band, and a small container of dirt. If you don't have access to the kit, you could also use coffee grounds if you don't have dirt. You will need the following items from home to complete this experiment: some water and a spoon. I'm using a plastic spoon, but a metal spoon would work as well. So let's learn how to do this experiment. So in this experiment, we're going to demonstrate how fish's gills work. Gills are a thin membrane organ usually on the side of a fish's head, that bring in water, trap oxygen, and then deliver that oxygen to the fish's bloodstream, because even though they're underwater, they still need to breathe. So in this experiment, our coffee filter represents the gills, or that thin membrane. So we're going to start by putting it over top one of our cups and using that rubber band to secure it in place. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. In fact, you want it to kind of indent just a little bit. And this cup represents our gills. This cup, we're going to make the ocean water. So go ahead and pour in your water. It doesn't really matter how much. I'm going to do about half a cup, so I have more than I need here. Get your dirt or coffee grounds, whatever you're using. Pour it in. Use your spoon to kind of mix it in a little bit. It's not going to completely dissolve, but we want it to be mixed in. In this experiment, the dirt represents the oxygen molecules that are found in water. And they're not all floating right on the top, right? They're all mixed in. There we go. Now, here comes the fun part. We're going to pour the water over top of our gill to see if it works. Let's get a little closer so you can see a little better. Now I'm going to pour that water over top very slowly of our gill and watch what happens. Now you don't want to pour it all at once. You're going to end up with a real big mess on your hands. So take it nice and slow. Look at all the oxygen molecules we trapped using our gills. And now we've demonstrated how fish's gills work. Pretty cool, huh, friends? We would love to see pictures or videos of you doing this experiment, so please feel free to send those to pleasanthills@einetwork.net or post them to our special Facebook group, Pleasant Hills Library Virtual Programming. That's all for this week, friends, but join us next week when we learn a little bit more about polar animals and how they stay warm. Until then, I hope you have a good day and stay safe. I'll see you real soon. Bye!